Welcome to Your Mac Life for Wednesday, January 23rd, year 2019, show number 1212. I am Shawn King, joined as always by my beautiful wife,
Melissa.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. On tonight's show, we're going to talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com about this Apple Photo Challenge contest thing. It's just blown up over the last couple of days. It's really interesting in a lot of different ways. We'll talk to Jim about that. We'll talk to Melissa about that, too. She doesn't even know why, but I want to get your thoughts and opinions about it, too. We're also going to talk about privacy. Tim Cook penned a letter, an article in Time Magazine about privacy. Again, this is a drum that he's beaten quite often, and we'll talk about that to Jim a little later in the show. We're going to do, in our Starting Point Photography segment, we announced on Monday our next Starting Point Photography workshop will be right here in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada in September, I think, 15th, 20th, somewhere around that. I think 21st, that's right. September 21st to 28th, 2019. So this late summer, early fall, hopefully you'll be able to join us here in Vancouver, a beautiful, spectacularly beautiful city. We'll talk more about that later on the show in our Starting Point Photography segment. Some of you have been asking about our drone Dexter and what's going on with Dexter. Well, these kind of things take time, but I have had some good news, if not spectacular news. The folks at DJI have all the flight logs for Dexter. They are looking at them now. Their experts, whatever it might be, are looking at it now. The good news is those flight logs are easily accessible. Not easily. They're accessible to the user. So I also posted them to the MavicPilots.com forum, and they can look at them too, and they see, basically what they see confirms what I said, that the drone for some reason just came down. So hopefully the folks at DJI, the tech guys there, see it the same way, and this is the key, won't require me to recover the drone from the bottom of the harbor in order to then send it back to DJI. I understand why DJI does that. They don't want people to say, oh, I lost it in the woods and can't find it now. Could you send me another drone? And they'd have two drones. So generally, DJI's policy is you must send them back the damaged, broken, drowned drone. That's obviously not possible in this case. But the good news is, someone mentioned it. I don't know if it was an IRC or what it might be, but someone mentioned to check our home insurance and our credit card. Well, our home insurance actually might cover it with a $500 deductible. But the other good news is Visa, we have purchase protection insurance from Visa. What that means is anything you buy using your Visa card, 90 days from the date of purchase, if it's lost, stolen, or damaged, Visa will credit you back the purchase price, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it. And not only that, but they don't require me to send the drone to them. What they require is an affidavit saying, I, Shawn King, promise that I'm not lying to you and will not, have two drones, basically. So that's good in both situations. Visa will either, I'm not sure they do it. I don't know if they credit you back the money or send you another drone or whatever it might be. If our home insurance covers it, though, Visa will only cover the deductible, the $500 deductible, which is, them not wanting to spend $2,500. I get that. So our home insurance might cover it. So it's going to get covered some way, shape, or form, either through DJI, through home insurance, or through Visa or a combination of Visa and home insurance. It was interesting to see, and by the way, I posted another high-res video. Actually, I should show this to you. I can't. Hang on. Another high-res video of that. It was very interesting trying to get the high-res video out of the apps I was using. It's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. Using Handbrake and using ScreenFlow and the other apps I do, but I eventually got a high-quality, high-res high-resolution video that I posted up on YouTube. If you do a search, I think, for me on YouTube, you'll come up with it. Or flying, what was it? What do I call it? Flying the drone in Gibson's. Do a search for Gibson's. It'll come up there. You were actually flying it for a little while too. You were you having fun flying it?
Well, I flew Damon's, and then I flew yours, yeah.
Ours.
Ours.
Not just mine. It's ours. Don't make it seem like I'm the only one with this thing. Hang on a second. Let me just put this, cover up your beautiful face with it, and then in the background we shall show that. Come on. So this was the flight. Oops, don't need audio. I really like the shadow effect I got out of this, and this is all in our general area. This is an area called Port Mellon. It's a paper mill out there, isn't it? It's
paper and pulp.
And pulp mill out in a place called Port Mellon. This is where they drop the logs off. This is the coastline that we live on. Just a shot of the trees that are in the forest around here. Again, another shot of the place where they drop the logs off. This is the BC Ferry. This is how we get back and forth from Vancouver to the big city, from Gibson's to the big city of Vancouver. There's Melissa flying the drone. It was actually kind of funny. You got a lot of bird shots that I never got. I never got any bird shots. You got all these great shots of birds, completely accidentally too, by the way. I don't know why this thing is lagging so much.
I did that totally deliberately.
Yes, you were tracking the birds. Yep. That's right. You were doing an amazing job of tracking the birds. Anyway, I'll post a link to this in the IRC chat room, and you guys can take a look at it as well. It was a lot of fun to do. One of the neat things about this kind of stuff in general is once you learn how to fly the drone, the principles of photography are the same, whether it's video photography, a still camera, a DSLR camera, or a drone. You have to use the same techniques. You have to watch your horizon. You have to make sure there's something of interest in the shot. You have to be smooth in your flying and in your shooting. Even if you're shooting just a photograph, you have to be smooth in the way you fly the drone. Video has to be very smooth. It can't be jerky. You have to learn how to not jerk your camera, just like you do with a regular DSLR or your iPhone. So I find it very interesting how much of what I teach in photography is also applicable to the drone stuff. So even though I'm not an accomplished drone pilot yet, hopefully I will be someday, I'm still hopefully getting good shots because of my knowledge of photography to begin with. We also went out this Sunday evening with the boys. We built a little fire in our backyard and watched the total lunar eclipse. Was that your first time seeing a total lunar eclipse?
From beginning to end that? Yeah.
Yeah, same with me. I can't remember. Yeah. Most of the other times I've lived in the city that's happened, or it's been cloudy, because here in the Vancouver area, it's in the wintertime, it's cloudy quite often. This was the first astronomical event I think we've seen here on the coast, because every other time it's been raining for us.
Yeah, we were blessed.
Yeah.
It was a stunning evening, magnificent from beginning to end. It couldn't have been more perfect than what it was.
A little chilly, but it was... we had a fire going. So
yeah, Shawn built an amazing fire. Well, we all jumped in the car to head off to the beach, and we were backing out of the driveway, and Shawn went, "There's the moon." And we all went, "There's the moon." So we went and got wood, and we came home, and we stayed home. I'm so happy that we did that.
Well, staying home was nicer, if only because, our plan was to go down to a local beach, a local dock. And it probably would have been busy with other people because it's obviously a popular event, and we wouldn't have had anywhere to pee. We would have frozen our butts off.
Yes, yeah.
And so here we were at the house, so we just
pop back in to warm up if you needed, or the fire.
We had binoculars. We had our cameras. Did you get any good shots? You got some good shots of me and Rory.
I took pictures of you, picture of Rory, and then I transposed a photograph of the moon with Rory, and it looked like it was the same photograph, but it actually wasn't. I mean, a lot of people, some people I knew on Instagram got some beautiful shots of it. They would have had a different lens, a better lens.
Yes, that's one of the keys that I always try to tell people about is that you're not going to get good shots. I didn't even try with the straight up iPhone.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Yeah.
Your eye sees the moon differently than your phone does. You see it as this big, wonderful globe in the sky. Your iPhone sees it as a little pinpoint, and it's not going to work out. You need a lens, some sort of zoom lens or great big lens, a telescope, that kind of thing, to be able to get those shots on your iPhone. And there are mounts and adapters you can get to attach your iPhone to a telescope. My friend Jay Earl in Scotland, Jared Earl, does it all the time and gets some amazing, beautiful shots. But any shots that you saw on Instagram or on Twitter or Facebook, they were not straight iPhone shots. They were not shots that came straight out of the iPhone. The iPhone just can't capture those kinds of photos. But it was fun just to hang out there and talk about it and watch the progression of it. Watching through the binoculars, I didn't see anything for a long time. We were out there. I think we got out there about 6, and it didn't start until 6:30. But officially, the moon didn't start getting dark until about 7:30. So we were out there quite a bit early, and then we watched it all the way through until the totality of the moon being blocked by the shadow of the Earth. And then we came indoors.
We did. We came back. Because
there's no point in watching the other side of it because it's just the same thing in reverse.
Yeah, no, it's good. That's good.
I wanted to see it to the very, very end.
Okay, let's go in now.
But then I knew as soon as it happens, I'll just rewind it in my mind. And it's end up being the same thing. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Later in the show, we're going to talk about Starting Point Photography here in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Hopefully some of you guys can join us here. We're also going to talk up next after this segment to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. This is Your Mac Life. Welcome back to this edition of Your Mac Life. It is a Wednesday evening. Thanks very much to you guys for joining us. In our phone, we've got our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Did you get the chance to see the eclipse under the bridge?
Well, it's kind of blocked. It doesn't have sunroofs or anything on it, so. No, I didn't.
Did you go to watch the eclipse?
No.
Why not?
I've seen them in clips before.
Oh, jeez. That's like saying you played that guitar before, so you don't going to play it ever again.
Why are you going to be like that?
Well, you got to be like that, so...
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Haven't we just circled around that?
It's this wonderful astronomical event that happens only a few times in your lifetime. Why wouldn't you have the wonder and awe of the universe around you?
Because it was raining and cloudy?
Yeah, it wasn't raining down there, you liar.
Yeah, it was for the past 2 weeks. Look it up.
So, Apple, I want you, Jim Dalrymple, to write an article for my website, yourmaclifeshow.com. If I like the article, I will post it to my website for a year, and I will not pay you for it. Are you okay with that?
Why would I do that?
Exactly. Why would you do that? Well, you do it for exposure.
I see.
You do it for the joy and recognition that I would give you.
The old exposure trick.
Exactly. So Apple announced this photo contest yesterday, and it has blown up since then. Basically, Apple is looking for submissions for their Shot on iPhone campaign. They've been doing this now for a couple of years. I don't know why it's suddenly become a huge issue in the past 24 hours, but Apple is saying when you tag your iPhone photos on Instagram or Twitter or basically social media, they will see those, and they have a panel of judges, some of them quite accomplished photographers in their own right. And Apple will, if Apple chooses your photo, they are saying that they are going to ask you to allow them to use it royalty-free in any way, shape, or form they want to over the next year. Is this okay?
Well, I think the people that probably go into this really could care less. I mean, you're not talking about, for the most part, accomplished professional photographers. And what you're comparing here are two different things. If you came to me and said, as an accomplished photographer, submit a picture and we're not going to pay you for it, I'd say no.
Yep.
But if I'm me, as accomplished as I am of photography, and said, hey, take a picture and can we use it? That's, or I don't care.
Yeah.
I could care less.
Yeah.
So the two things that you're saying are not quite equal. But so no, I don't have a problem with it because, I am not a photographer. I could care less if anybody looks at my pictures because they're all blurry anyway. Even with the very best of cameras out there, It would still be blurry. So now, if you want me to write something, well, that's a different story.
To be clear, folks, Apple is not asking for professional photographers to do this. Apple has professional photographers on staff. A couple of them are friends of mine. When Apple wants pro stuff, when they use it for desktops or backgrounds, that kind of stuff, they have pros to shoot this stuff for them, or they will hire the pros. Apple's point in this is to show what kind of photos non-pros can get. And this is something I've been trying to get Apple to do for years. Instead of giving review units out to professional photographers like Austin Mann and Pete Souza and those kind of guys, give iPhone review units out to people who are just average, everyday human beings who like taking pictures. Now, that being said, I like the idea of this contest because it does show off what people can do with their iPhones. The problem a lot of people have is not only the lack of payment for the photo, that happens in almost every contest you're ever going to enter, but the lack of any sort of reward, of contest reward, whether it be prize money, whether it be a new MacBook Pro, a new iPad, whatever it might be. Apple is not offering a single thing in compensation for using these photos in an exclusive way. By the way, Apple says that in their rules and conditions. They get the exclusive right to this photo for the next 365 days, and you cannot sell or use it in any other way, shape, or form until that period of time is up. Is that an issue that Apple isn't offering any kind of compensation? Do you have a problem with that?
The only way that anybody would want any of my photos is if they were completely blind. So if Apple all of a sudden wants to, I don't care. I really don't. I just, the people that are having a problem with it, are they professional photographers?
Does it matter? What difference does it make who's having a problem with it?
Well, I'm just wondering, are they people like me? Because I don't have an issue with it. You know, to say that, yeah, hey, look, my picture won, which I know would never happen to me.
Well, stop being so selfish and think about others.
Well, I think others are, you know, why are they saying this about Apple? Because Apple has money and they think that no. That's, then, you know what I say to those people? Don't enter the contest.
Yes, but I get how the average person, and I consider myself a professional photographer, and I would not enter this contest because I want to get paid for my work. So therefore, I wouldn't enter the contest. But as a non-professional, it would be great to be recognized in this kind of way, right?
Well, as a your picture is there.
Yes, so it'd be really cool to be able to say, hey, look, that's my photo up on that billboard or in that ad campaign or on Apple's website. It'd be really cool to do that, right?
There's my picture.
The problem is Apple is using your picture to make money. Apple isn't doing this through altruism. They're doing it to promote the iPhone. They're doing it to promote the camera on the iPhone and to encourage people to buy iPhones. Apple's going to pay the billboard company. They're going to pay the printer. They're going to pay everyone else in this chain except you.
Then don't enter. It's a contest. Don't enter.
But what I'm saying is if you do enter, everyone else gets paid except you.
Nobody else entered the contest, though. They're not having a contest for a billboard company to have their ad. Yeah, I guess I'm looking at it from the standpoint of, I know that I can't take good photos, and I'm not trying to make any money from these photos. So whatever I have in my photo library, if you want to look at and pick one that you think is great, whatever. I don't care. You don't want any of them? No, whatever. I don't care.
So you're okay with Apple not offering any kind of prizes for this or any kind of compensation of any kind except for recognition?
Sure.
The other issue, too, that I noticed when I first read this story and have seen in the past, Goober pointed it out, the folks at 9 to 5 pointed it out, Apple Insider pointed it out, that even when they do offer recognition, it's often only first name, last initial. It's not even the
privacy, I would imagine.
Yeah, but the privacy thing doesn't cut it for me because you are already, by entering the contest, you're already giving up your privacy. You're already saying, just like in most other contests, you can use my name and face and whatever for promotional purposes. If people are saying this is for recognition, if this is why Apple is doing it, it's going to recognize you, I want my full name out there. I want my whole Twitter handle, my whole Instagram handle, so folks can look at my stuff and go, hey, this guy's really good. Let's buy some other photos or whatever else it might be.
If you were talking about content, like written content, yeah, I understand where you're coming from in that. And I would understand the things that you're saying. But when it comes down to something that I don't really care that much about personally, I would just give it to them. I don't care. Go ahead. Use whatever you want. Now, if you want me to write a song, okay, that's different. But those are things that I care about. And I think you need to understand that separation for me. I know that my photos suck. I mean, if they asked you, hey, we want you to write a song and then we'll use it. You say, yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
you know, I don't care because
Yeah.
I can't write a song. And if you're going to use it, it's your bad luck, not mine.
I wouldn't even do it in that situation because for me, I work for pay. I'm not going to do it just so you can make money off of my efforts. If both of us are doing it in a cooperative way, that's fine. But if you're making a metric buttload of money off of the thing I did, I want a piece of that.
Well, yeah. I just don't see it like that.
Now, I heard from a little birdie this morning when this popped up, and someone pointed out very obviously, and not a lot of folks are thinking about it this way, Monty said it in the IRC chat room, the lawyers are to blame for why they aren't offering prizes. The lawyers aren't to blame per se, but the lawyers do get involved. The law, more specifically, gets involved. If Apple is offering prizes that had a monetary value to them, there's a whole other set of rules Apple has to abide by in order to be able to do a contest in that way. We've seen it here in Canada. Sorry.
And they're probably different in every state and country in the world.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. For example, here in Canada, we often see not applicable in Quebec because Quebec has different rules and different laws for these kinds of contests than the rest of Canada does. And
and they're French and want to break up the country.
I knew as soon as I said Quebec, you were going to go there.
You could have said any other province.
I know.
That would have been fun.
But it's also true of Britain and France and Zimbabwe and every other country is going to have different laws. Now, that being said, Apple has a massive legal team. This is the kind of thing that they could easily have an intern, a first-year associate, handle the paperwork for it. But I do understand they don't want to get into that. They don't want to involve the lawyers with regards to that. So I get why Apple's doing it this way. I just wish we could find a middle ground in between rewarding this average everyday person who takes a great photo with some sort of compensation. I know Apple might be able to do it on the sly, but I just wish they could find this. Just looks bad for this multi-billion-dollar company to be taking my photo, putting it on a billboard, and giving me any money for it.
I don't think it looks bad at all. Like I said, if nobody enters the contest, they have 0 entries. They can pick one of my photos and use it for them.
Tim Cook, you've been told, just in case.
Good luck to you.
If you need a backup plan, we've got Jim to help you out.
Yep.
Speaking of Tim Cook, he wrote an op-ed piece for Time magazine last week. You deserve privacy online. Here's how you could actually get it. Cook is stepping up this whole privacy thing. How much of this is good business, and how much of this do you believe is what Tim Cook actually believes?
Well, make no mistake. Tim believes that.
Yeah.
He really does, and I believe that Apple as a company believes that. And yes, he is stepping it up, but the deception of some other companies is also stepping up. We keep, it seems like every week we hear more about what Facebook is doing.
Yeah.
And, I believe that we do have a right to our privacy. So when you have a company that comes out in favor of those beliefs and is willing to stand up to the FBI and the U.S. government for those beliefs, I think that's a pretty good indication that they're serious about what they're saying.
Do you think, given that article, that Tim's proposals, he's got 4 points in the article, is there any chance of this stuff actually getting acted upon at this late air quotes date in the life of the internet, that this is something we should have thought about 20 years ago, and that maybe that horse is out of that barn and we're never going to be able to put it back in?
Well, I mean, it is late in the game considering what we've done, but look at some of the stuff that Apple has done with Safari and, blocking advertiser tracking, and look at the response that they got from advertiser tracking companies.
Yeah.
They're just up in arms,
Yep.
because they realize what this means. So, I mean, we look at Facebook and we look at Google and Amazon as the ones that are using our data to, do whatever they want with, really. But it goes deeper than that. It goes to all the websites that we visit and the tracking that they have on them. And should that be allowed? Well, Apple is giving us a way to say no, it's not.
Yeah.
So, are the governments around the world going to mandate that you can't do a lot of this stuff? Probably not.
Some have, as
some have.
MacMan points out, the EU, the European Union, is doing what they can to a certain degree to do this. I think Cook's biggest problem with the U.S. government anyway is that there is no real push to have this happen. These, for the most part, old white guys in Congress and in the administration don't really care about this stuff. It doesn't affect them. They don't see any concrete consequences to these things. As often happens, we're going to have to wait until Congress gets hacked. We're going to have to wait until the bad guys get a .gov mailing list that embarrasses the U.S. government. That being said, WikiLeaks has already done that, and nothing concrete was done in that regard either. I don't think there's any real political agenda. There might be from Cook's point of view, but I can't really see him getting much help from the government. Can you?
And, well, I mean, look what happened already. They pulled in Zuckerberg and, questioned him for, a day or so.
Yeah.
But what it turned into was, I don't even know what they're called. Were they senators or Congress people or something?
Congress people, yes.
Okay, that were on that panel. We're all begging them for free internet.
Yep.
So we went from, we're going to hold you to account for all of this stuff, to please send us free internet for my constituents too. Yep. Oh, come on.
Yeah, the problem was the people that we had questioning Zuckerberg were so incompetent in this particular subject matter, and I'm sure in a lot of others, that was a complete waste of time. It was just theater. I would have rather have seen them have their interns interview Zuckerberg, because at least they use the product and they are more affected by these sorts of privacy things than the guys who were up front and center about this. They, just by the questions they were asking Zuckerberg, I knew this was going to go nowhere, because the Congress people, have no clue what they're even asking. Asking Google why Facebook can track them on their iPhone. And the CEO of Google almost threw up his hands and wanted to say, "You're a moron, Senator. That's not how it works. I got nothing to do with that."
Yeah, I was just going to say, when the senator at one point held up an iPhone,
yep.
Or congressperson or whoever it was, and he said, "Yeah, that's made by a different company." I mean, come on. At least know what your subject matter is. Yep. Know your audience. Know who it is that you're grilling, and what they make.
Yep.
So, can Tim get anything done? Who knows? I doubt it.
Yep. I think until we get some sort of groundswell, whether that be political from the members of Congress or whether that be from average everyday people demanding some sort of action from their government officials, this is just Tim Cook being Don Quixote. And I admire him for the attempt, but I really don't think it's going to go anywhere.
Well, I don't know that Tim thought it would go anywhere either, but it is an important message to get out there that, Apple does believe in certain fundamental things as a company.
Yes.
One of them is your privacy. So if privacy is important to you, take all the other companies and rate them and see where they fall down on that. If privacy is not important to you, then don't worry about it. Privacy only seems important to us when we realize that somebody has misused it.
Yeah.
And, then you see everybody come out up in arms. Has Facebook gone out of business? No.
Yeah.
Will they? No. Because people don't care. So there is a large segment of that market that just don't care.
And until they start caring, what Tim Cook is saying and doing is going to happen in a vacuum, the vacuum of Apple. And I admire that they're going to continue doing that, even though they're on the right side. They're leading a parade that no one's following them. And Tim Cook is hoping to turn a corner one day, find a parade that he can lead.
I think that he is leading a parade, and I think it keeps a lot of people like the government off of Apple's back and allows them to do business as usual, because their usual business is respectful.
Yeah.
So they're not, if you look at some of the fines that have been brought against Facebook or Google or whatever, even in the EU, I think one I saw a week or two ago was like $57 million. Well, that's what, a day's pay or something,
It's nothing.
I mean, nothing. $57 million. To me, if I get fined $57 million for something, first of all, I better had a good time. But I mean, I would just go jump off the bridge that I'm living under, because there's no way that I'd be able to deal with it. They looked at that and went, whatever.
Pocket change.
Yeah. Go to Zuck's office and get that out of his desk drawer.
Yep. Yeah, no kidding. Out of the piggy bank.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, I posted a story on The Loop at loopinsight.com. Apple begins selling iPhone SE again on the clearance store, starting at $250 for brand new iPhone SEs. Is this, do you think, Apple just clearing out old stock, or is there something more behind the scenes on this?
Well, I mean, obviously with everything that's happened, it could be something more behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It could be that, maybe they felt that they cut off that phone a bit too early. There could be any number of reasons for why they brought it back, including clearing out old stock. But I can't imagine that they had a whole lot of old stock, because Apple keeps its inventory pretty close.
Yeah.
So is it worthwhile to sell it? Well, people are going to buy it, sell it. I think we have to remember, though, that they have moved on from that.
Yes. But I think Apple knows how many of these they had. They know how long they were on sale for. They can do the math. And I think that if Apple sees that these sold out fast enough, Apple might bring that, not the iPhone SE back, but might be the iPhone extra small. The next version might, the next announcement we get in September might have another version of the iPhone, just a smaller one. I don't think Apple's ready to give up on that market. If they saw that this iPhone SE sellout was a big deal. And it's not a bad phone either. It's a perfectly good phone at a great price for a lot of those people who don't need or want the full size, full power of an iPhone X or XR or XS. If you want to give one of these to your kids or to your grandma or to someone who doesn't need all the iPhone bells and whistles, for $250, this was not a bad deal.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, there are a lot of people that love that size of phone. I was not one of them.
Me neither. Yeah.
So, they keep moving forward. They've all. I think they've all but said Face ID and a full screen is the way that the company is moving. I agree with that. And think about the fact that they would have to set up manufacturing again to do an iPhone SE type of phone.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think that, to me, it seems like a step back.
Interesting.
But,
I think if it actually went on sale, like I said, the assumption here is this is just a clear out sale. This is hey, oh look, we found a new warehouse, an old warehouse with these in the back. Let's sell them. Oops, kind of thing.
Yeah, all those ones that get stolen out of San Francisco. Yeah, we found them, so we're going to sell them.
That's right. We only actually had 7, but we're going to make a big deal of it. We get a lot of press for it. A lot of people like me talking about it. I think that if we see them sell them again this coming September, that'll tell us what Apple feels about the market. That if they announce a brand new version of this in September, that's them saying, "Oops, we misread the market," which is not unusual considering what they're going to announce on the 29th of January, at the end of this month, that they've miscalculated by $8 billion.
Well, they didn't miscalculate. Come on.
How would you describe
it? Did you all of a sudden start working for Forbes?
Nice. I mean, nice.
They didn't miscalculate. There was a major shift in one of the world's biggest economies. That's not miscalculating. I mean, if they came out, everything stayed the same, and they said, "Oh, damn, we're $7 billion short." Yeah, okay, that's a miscalculation. But jeez, I expect to see a byline tomorrow. Forbes by Shawn King,
contributor, which means I'm not getting paid for it.
Apple miscalculated. Good Lord! Wow.
I saw a great great thread on Twitter by a guy named Nick Punt talking about how this is the 30th anniversary of the beloved Macintosh SE30, and while he said it was the best Mac ever, I don't know that I would agree with that. It depends on how you define that. But I got to admit, even 30 years later, it's still my favorite Macintosh. Do you have a favorite Macintosh?
Oh boy, you know what? I mean, I could say my first Mac. I could say so many different Macs that that was my favorite. I think my favorite Mac is whatever the one I'm using right now.
Now I will always say it was the SE30 because it was the first Macintosh I used in college, and I had so much fun using it, and it opened up a whole different world for me. For better or worse, I'm where I am now. Thank you. Because of using the Macintosh SE30, I love my PowerBooks. Yeah. I love the laptops I had. I've had a couple of really cool towers, but the portability, at the time, the power of the Mac SE30, the functionality, I could do things that I never imagined I could do because of the Mac SE30.
Yeah. So basically, you're saying porn.
No. Not at all. The Mac SE30 was where I learned how to create FileMaker Pro databases.
I am very pragmatic, I think, about my Macs, and the Macs that I have, as they get older, a couple years older, and you trade them in, you get the new one, then that's even better, and that's all I really look for. I mean, if you're looking for nostalgia or something, the first Intel, and the tower, like the G5, where I could plug in an entire band in my studio and record for hours on end. I mean, that was power. That was power. I had a 30 input board and just mics everywhere. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was power, but is it my favorite? I don't know. It's like the iPhone. My favorite iPhone, it's the one I got in my pocket right now. It's the one that's working.
For the iPhone, I would definitely agree with you on that. Whatever the latest iPhone is that's my favorite iPhone because it always expands my abilities of usually photography. But the SE30, I think, is my favorite Macintosh because I knew nothing about computers before I used the Mac SE30.
So was it the SE30 that was your favorite, or was it iOS 6 or 7 that was on it that was your favorite?
It was a combination, and that's a great question. It was a combination of both because the SE30 was also portable.
I know that was a great question. I do this for a living.
But I remember working at an engineering firm in the desktop publishing department. Didn't know a damn thing. I lied my way into the job. And when I asked them if I could do work at home over the weekend, they said sure. And the SE30 had that little handle built into the back of it, and I was able to pick it up and take it with me on the bus and then work at home. So it was the physical nature of the SE30 combined with the operating system and my abilities to work on FileMaker Pro and Aldus Freehand and other things like that really...
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Aldus.
That's how old I am. I remember the name of Freehand. Was it Aldus Freehand or Macromedia? Macromedia.
Well, didn't one buy the other?
Yeah, Aldus Macromedia, all those. Yeah, Macromedia, Monty says.
And then Adobe bought that.
Yes.
And
they got rid of one of them.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was using those applications, which were before I had never used them. I had never even seen them, knew nothing about them until that little Mac SE30. And so, yeah, it opened up a whole different world for me, more so than any other Macintosh since. I've always just built on the capabilities of my previous knowledge with any new Macintosh. You know what I mean?
So does that mean that your favorite car was the first one you ever had?
When it comes to see now, cars is a bad example because I'm not a car guy.
Okay, motorcycles.
My motorcycle wasn't the first one, but it was my second one. Yes, is my favorite motorcycle. And my first car is my favorite car because it was the very first car I ever had, which was a '94 Mustang.
See, my first car sucked balls, so it was a 442 Oldsmobile with a shift kit,
nice.
And every time it shifted, it blew the transmission out. So I spent so much money in transmissions.
When we were kids in Halifax, I always wanted a '72 Monte Carlo. I love those old. To this day, I'd buy a Monte Carlo if I could find one. I love the old Monte Carlos.
Yeah, well, you could fit everybody in your town in that Monte Carlo.
Exactly. At one point, I did have a '68 Cadillac Eldorado. That was bigger than the home we live in, man. It was a white Cadillac Eldorado, 45 feet long, 72 feet wide, got 14 feet to the gallon.
But gas was only 2 cents a gallon.
I'm 6'3". I could literally lie down lengthwise in the back of that car and go to sleep. It was just insane.
Those were amazing times in cars. When you went to a party, you basically had the entire party in your car.
Exactly. You could go around a corner at anything more than 30 miles an hour, and the car would rock back and forth so much after the turn you could make butter in the back. It would just churn itself.
Well, and when you were steering, you were going like almost a full rotation just to keep the damn thing on the road.
Exactly. Yeah. It was like a full lock back and forth just to get back. Yeah. Oh, there was
60 miles an hour on the highway. You hit a tiny little bump, and it would be bouncing down the highway for the next mile.
You just float down the highway. If it had too much to drink, you get seasick because the goddamn thing was like a giant boat. I love that car.
Then you stop, put it in park, drop the anchor, and
that's right, exactly. Oh, dear. Folks, we're talking to Jim Dalrymple, The Loop at loopinsight.com. He's here each and every week. His podcast, The Dalrymple Report, is available on the iTunes store. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Shawn.
Talk to you next week, buddy. See ya.
Bye.
When we come back, folks, thank you very much to Jim. When we come back, we'll talk to, we'll do our starting point photography segment. We'll talk to Melissa about the photography contest because she had some thoughts about it that she didn't even know she was having those thoughts about it. All that and more coming up. This is Your Mac Life.
Hello, my name is Melissa King. I'm Your Mac Life's official spokes Australian. As Shawn begins his 25th year of broadcasting on the internet, he has asked me to say a few words to you all. Send money. What? Why not? More? Okay. When you listen to Your Mac Life, you'll notice there are no ads, no commercial breaks, no 5-minute ad reads for products you've already bought or have no interest in buying. That's because Your Mac Life is entirely listener-supported, and not even listener-supported via a paywall or a subscription service. It's simple. If you like Your Mac Life, you can pay for it. If you don't want to pay for it, you don't have to. You can still listen. But we'd really like it if you did. On the Your Mac Life homepage at yourmaclifeshow.com, on the top left, there is a subscribe to YML box. You can send any amount you'd like each month automatically from your credit card or PayPal account. It's set for $2, $5, $10, or $15, but you can set it for any amount by clicking the Donate button. The best part is you'll barely notice it. It's $2, but it makes a huge difference to us here at Your Mac Life. It means we can pay for website hosting, internet access, new computers and software to run the show on, and so much more. So, if you like Your Mac Life, please subscribe. $2 will make a tiny dent in your wallet, but when enough people subscribe, it makes a huge difference to Your Mac Life. I'm Melissa King. Thank you.
Welcome back, folks. Thank you guys very much for joining us here on the show on this Wednesday evening. In our starting point photography segment for this Wednesday evening, it was kind of funny. I mentioned this to Melissa just before the show started about this photo contest thing. And do you remember what you said?
I said, oh, are there going to be prizes?
I said, nope. And you said...
I said, oh, well, what is it? Just for Apple to promote how wonderful their camera is on their photos, and then they get to use someone's photograph for a year?
Pretty much.
For
Yeah,
free?
pretty much for free.
Just for the privilege of, okay.
Yep. You're not even working for exposure per se, because the old thing of if you do this job for me, I'll mention your name on my website or on my podcast, wherever it is, and the idea is that other people then go, oh, that guy sounds interesting, and they come and they buy your thing or whatever it might be. You're not even doing that because the average person doesn't need exposure. If the person's a plumber, Apple's not going to say this picture shot by Joe's plumber of, San Francisco, California. It's going to have Al B. It's not even going to have his full name if they go by the way they've done in the past.
Yeah, but he still deserved a prize.
Well... as we said with the segment of Jim, part of the problem is that if they did a prize giveaway, there's a whole different set of legal rules they have to go by. There's a whole bunch of restrictions and hoops they have to jump through. And Apple just apparently doesn't want to jump through those hoops. Okay, fine. But still, I don't think it looks good. The so-called optics of it aren't great for Apple to ask people to take pictures that Apple is then going to use to promote their products and make money off of my picture. And it doesn't matter whether you're a pro or not. Apple's going to be making money off of your picture. If Apple would use their own pros in this campaign, Apple has on staff at any one time between 5 and 10 photographers, professional photographers. A couple of guys are friends of mine, amazing photographers. Apple would pay them for these photos, and they have paid them for photos of the Mojave Desert and other things that Apple's done. So if it's not that Apple's not willing to pay for photos. They're just not willing to pay these people for photos, and that to me seems a little unfair.
I agree.
It's not a matter that I'm a pro and I deserve to get paid and da da da. It's that Apple is doing is working with one group of people in a different way than they're working with the other group. The pro group, they would absolutely pay. These amateurs, we're not going to pay.
But these are amateurs that support their products and buy their stuff and probably talk up Apple all over the place. Look at my great phone. Look at the photos it takes. I mean, these are their customers.
Yeah, and even if it was a legal issue, as I said, Apple's got a team of 1,000 lawyers. They could hand this off to a junior associate who could do the paperwork everywhere. Or Apple could just restrict the contest to the U.S. only. They could do that too. So that, as I said, a little birdie told me it's one of the reasons why Apple did it this way. I understand that might be a reasoning. I don't think it's a very good one.
I agree. Can't they give people gift certificates for their store
Again,
something like that?
Any prize, anything that's got a monetary value, a whole different set of rules are going to come into play. Now, if Apple did something like, Apple could do something like in secret after the contest is over, say, "Nice job. Here's an iPhone," or a laptop or whatever, but someone's going to squeal on that, and that would get Apple into trouble. So Apple's caught between a rock and a hard place in this one, but the hard place ain't that hard. They could have done prizes. It just makes them look bad to be profiting off the work of others and doing it in such a way. One of the restrictions on this is Apple gets to use your photo exclusively for a year. Which means if someone else comes along and says, "Hey, can I buy that photo?" You have to say no. If Time Magazine sees your photo on a billboard and says, "That's a great photo, let me go to this guy and buy the photo for Time Magazine," you have to say no. Time Magazine, if they want to use a photo, has to go to Apple, and they'll buy it from Apple.
No.
So,
no.
Monty, I'd love to see one of my pictures on a billboard in Times Square with the Apple logo on the bottom of it. I know I shot it. My friends would know I shot it. I get the point of view of some people thinking it's unfair, but this would support a company and products I like, and I'm okay with that in this situation. And I think that's where a lot of pros get their knickers in a bunch, when people are okay with working for free. People are okay with giving their efforts, whether they are professional or not. You created this image. You did the work to create this image. And the argument is that by you devaluing your own work, you also devalue my work as well.
Well, and Apple could then elaborate and continue on doing such things if people are willing to allow it to happen.
The other aspect of this is that as we said, the exposure and recognition is very minimal as well, too. It's not my full name, Shawn King at yourmaclifeshow.com or startingpointphotography.com. It's going to be Shawn K. Well, no one's going to be able to find me with Shawn K.
No, I don't agree.
Apple would have to, at the very least, put your full Instagram handle or your full, wherever Apple found it. If they found it on Twitter, put your Twitter handle. If they found it on Instagram, put your Instagram handle. Let people find you that way. It rubs me the wrong way. It's going to be a successful campaign. It's shot on iPhone. You can look it up now already on Twitter, hashtag shot on iPhone, on Instagram, hashtag shot on
I had
iPhone.
a look. Yeah. Do they have categories?
Not that I know of. Apple didn't say that there were categories. Apple might break them out into categories later, but right now they're just grabbing all of them. So it's an interesting problem, interesting concept that Apple is doing here, and I don't. The other aspect of this too that I want to make sure people realize is that this is not uncommon. There are a lot of contests out there, and when you submit to these contests, you've got to read the fine print, because a lot of contests work this way. Some contests even say by submitting the photo, the contest person owns the photo now. You gave up your rights by submitting the photo to me.
No.
A few years ago, National Geographic got in trouble for that, because even if you didn't win the contest, Nat Geo still gave Nat Geo a license to use the photo. even if you didn't win.
Oh, yeah, no.
So you got to be careful. You got to read the fine print. You got to understand what's going on. A lot of these contests, and never, ever pay to enter a contest. It's a bunch of contests that say, every submission is $50. Screw you. I'm not paying you to enter a contest. That's insane. Some will do that because it skirts that law of prize money. That you're paying me to enter the contest, therefore the rules for this prize giveaway are different than if it was just something else. So if you are entering these kind of contests, and I personally never do, if you're entering these kinds of contests, make sure you read the fine print. Make sure you read the rules and know what kind of rights you're giving up and what kind of responsibilities they have towards you when you submit their photo. We announced on Monday the next starting point photography workshop is going to be right here in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. We're going to be doing it September 21st to 28th. You can go to startingpointphotography.com to get more details about that. Melissa and I are already thinking about what we're going to do with people. It's going to be the same basic concept. The idea is go on the vacation you're already going to go on to a beautiful place, and I promise you, Vancouver is the single most naturally beautiful city in North America, bar none. I've been to a lot, and none of them compare. We have snow-covered mountains right here in the city. Not like Denver, where they're miles away. Not like other cities where, like Mount Rainier in Seattle, where you look through the clouds, Mount Rainier is 30 or 40 miles away. It's beautiful. It's lovely. Not like Mount Hood in Portland, which is just 100 miles away. You take a bus to get to the snow in Vancouver.
Oh,
a city bus takes you to get snow.
Olympic level skiing.
Exactly. We had the
No
Olympics
ways.
in the city. But it doesn't snow down at ground level. It just snows up the mountain, which is kind of cool. So we have this backdrop of these beautiful mountains, and then you've got gorgeous beaches, English Bay and Spanish Banks, and a bunch of Jericho Beach.
Jericho Beach.
Jericho Beach.
Yeah.
The area of Falls Creek, Granville Island, spectacularly beautiful places, wonderful landscape photography. Food, shopping, food. This happened about 5-6 years ago. It was a funny story I think I've read. Condé Nast Traveler magazine voted Vancouver to have the best Chinese food in the world. That world includes China.
It's just food there.
I read that article and went, huh? Isn't it better in China? But according
You got to go to China.
Well, true, but still, according to Condé Nast Traveler magazine, we had the best Chinese food in the world. Vancouver has more sushi restaurants than you can shake a stick at. There are little tiny holes in the wall that would be the best sushi you ever had. There are restaurants you can spend $100 on a piece of sushi and everything in between. We've got a lot of something that took me a long time to get used to moving to Vancouver from little old Halifax. Halifax, our idea of ethnic food is Chinese food, takeout. That's ethnic for us in Nova Scotia. I had never had any Asian food at all until I moved to Vancouver. For us, it was just Chinese food. I didn't even know there was different kinds of Chinese. I didn't know Szechuan, Cantonese, whatever, Mandarin. I didn't know any of that stuff.
Szechuan.
Never had Malaysian food. Never had Thai food. Never had any of that stuff. Moved to Vancouver, met a girl in college, and we go on a date. And where do you want to go? She said, let's go for Thai food. Great, we'll go for Thai food. Go for Thai food, and I had this pad Thai stuff, just a buttload of noodles. Like, this is really good. Vancouver's got some amazing Asian restaurants, Asian fusion restaurants, a lot of those kind of places. So if you like the Asian influence in your food, Vancouver's got that in spades. Not as much history as I like, but only because Vancouver's only a little over 100 years old. So it's not that East Coast history, certainly not that European history. But there's some really interesting history. We're going to go on a walking tour of a place called Gastown, which is the original area of Vancouver. We're going to do a walking tour of Granville Island, which is a wonderful, really cool, funky, not really, I wouldn't call it artistic, not crafty. How would you describe Granville Island, the stores on Granville Island?
Oh, it's a marketplace, so it's varied. It's rich sensory-wise, smells, sights. tastes.
It's right in the waterfront. There's this.
You can see the city.
There's this amazing Granville Island market, which is fairly expensive and often very, very busy, but a great place for photography, especially street photography, photography of people. Really cool, funky shops and stores. There's tea stores. One of our favorite meat places, pate and smoked meat, is there.
Everything.
Chocolatiers are there, all kinds of. But I think I love about Granville Island in general is that, as far as I know, there's no chains there. There's no Arby's. There's no McDonald's on Granville Island. No, there's the Keg.
Oh, the Keg is down there.
I think that's the only chain place. There's bakeries. There are several restaurants. There's a brewery. Granville Island Brewery
down
is there.
Although they don't brew the beer there anymore.
They don't?
Mm-mm.
I didn't know that.
Nope.
They took the kegs out. Huh.
Okay.
But anyway, so Granville Island's a great place to go. We are going to go on a trip on the North Shore to Capilano Suspension Bridge. And you got to come and join us for that alone. Because if you ever want to hear someone scream like a girl, it'll be me on the damn suspension bridge. Oh, my God. How high is this suspension bridge? It's 100 feet, 200 feet in the air over this gorge, and it's a rope bridge. It's just one of these bridges that moves. I don't like bridges that move. No. I want my bridges to be solid and stationary. Right?
How are you going to get to the other side?
Oh, I'm going to go because I have to, because I'm the leader of the group. Someone's going to be a dick, and they're going to shake the bridge. I'm going to have to kill them and hide their body in the forest.
Well, the bridge shakes all the time when people are on it.
Oh, I know. I'm not happy about it. But, and I didn't know this. I've been in the suspension bridge once. That was in college. But they've really built up the area around there now, haven't they? What else is there now?
Oh, they've got the treetop walk, which is spectacularly done. Truly beautiful. So you can walk way up into the canopy, into the upper canopy of the gorgeous evergreen trees. They've also got another exhibit now on the side before you cross the bridge that is to do with water and water erosion on rocks, and it's very beautiful, very well done. And of course you can then see the totem poles. It's nice to be able to, if you come to Pacific Northwest, totem poles are a part of the experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll also be doing, hopefully we'll be doing a bicycling trip around Stanley Park. Stanley Park is a beautiful urban park. Very, unlike Stanley Park, correct me if I'm wrong, unlike Central Park in New York, it's not groomed, manicured.
No.
There's all kinds of trails to go through, bike trails and walking trails. It's much, much wilder. But there's this wonderful walking path all the way around Stanley Park. We're going to rent bicycles and do a bicycle trip around Stanley Park. And don't worry, the bicycling is very easy. If you can ride a bicycle, you can bike around Stanley Park. There's no hills. There's no elevation changes. It's all paved. It's not mountain biking. You'll get these simple little bikes to ride. They're dirt cheap. They're like $8 an hour. It's a beautiful, nice bicycle ride around the park. We'll get some great shots of the North Shore, of the Lionsgate Bridge, the iconic bridge in Vancouver, English Bay. There's a bunch of beautiful places. We might, if it's nice, I'd like to go and do pitch and putt. There's a pitch and putt golf course in the middle of Stanley Park, which is so much fun.
It is. It's a great one.
Hopefully the guys will be doing lawn bowling. I love watching these old guys in their white outfits doing lawn bowling. You get some great pictures of these beautiful, wonderful old faces, craggy and wrinkly faces, competing in lawn bowling, which is, I've always loved taking pictures of those guys. It's a lot of fun. It is a beautiful, beautiful city. And again, very similar to what we're going to do in Lisbon. We're going to do 4 morning classroom sessions, 2 evening sessions. We're going to do, hopefully, at least one day, one of the Saturdays or the Sundays, we're going to walk out onto the Lionsgate Bridge. And if we time it right, Vancouver is a big cruise ship port. If we time it right, we can get some great shots of the cruise ships coming down the harbor and then out into the ocean. And Melissa has convinced me that this is a good idea. We are going to, just like in Lisbon, on the Wednesday that we're in Lisbon, we're taking a day off and going out to Sintra, which is a beautiful, beautiful little town just outside of Lisbon. And then we're going to go to Cabo de Roca, which is the westernmost edge of the continent of Europe. Melissa has convinced me to have everyone come and join us here on the Sunshine Coast, here in Gibsons. So we're going to get up early in the morning. We're going to catch the ferry over. It's a beautiful ferry ride through the islands of the Salish Sea? Is that where we're on?
I don't know if it's the Salish Sea or part of the Georgia Strait. Or...
We'll find out. Anyway, from Horseshoe Bay to here in Gibsons. And then we're going to we're going to do a little walking tour of Gibsons. For those of you who are familiar with it, the Gibsons is the town that they filmed The Beachcombers in. When we were kids here in Canada, the CBC played the TV show called The Beachcombers, and everyone in Canada watched it. It was our version of the Andy Griffith Show. Think of it that way. Everyone in Canada watched it. And so we'll do a walking tour of the lower Gibsons area, nice little shops and stores. We'll do a walk on the piers. I will show you all where Dexter now lives at the bottom of the ocean. And then we're going to go to the pub at Gibson Tapworks, which is a nice little walk. They've got a beautiful outdoor deck, and we'll have lunch at the Tapworks. And then we're going to go head back towards the ferry. We'll stop off at another brew pub called Persephone. And Persephone is really cool as a brew pub because not only do they brew the beer on the premises, their hops are grown on the premises. It's a hop farm, too. So the hops go directly from a vine 20 feet away from the brewery to the brewery. And I got to believe there's going to be some great pictures there. And Melissa described it this way last night. It's a brew farm. It's actually a farm.
It's a beer farm.
It's a beer farm.
Yeah. Well, it's a community event to go and harvest the hops, get a piece of pizza or whatever and a beer if you help them harvest their hops.
It's actually a big deal. They've been fighting for a while now to get permission to become more of a how to describe it, more of a real brewery type thing. They had a bunch of restrictions in the past. They did.
I think that beer and all this beer farming and beer craft brew beer places are working to become more like the status of being a winery, that you have more rights and ability to do things, eating and drinking inside. Like if you got there were certain rules about whether you could drink outside of the actual it was very odd.
The if you go, I'll post in the IRC channel, the Sunshine Coast Ale Trail, Explore the Brewers Coast. That video is up on YouTube. I also linked to it on the loopinsight.com earlier this week. That video shows off three of the four pubs that are here. We're very lucky in the Sunshine Coast here in Gibsons. There are three brew pubs right here. One that we go to often is called the 101. Gibson's Tapworks is in the town of Gibsons, and then on the way to and from the ferry is Persephone, where Melissa and I had our very first date.
We did.
We had our very first date at Persephone.
We drank beer and had a great big Reuben sandwich.
Yeah, that was very yummy. so yeah, we're going to do that, and then we'll go back on the ferry and go back to Vancouver on that Wednesday. So there'll be the same classes, the same kind of idea. We're going to talk about composition. We're going to talk about landscape. We're going to talk about black and white, street photography, all that kind of stuff. So if you can't make it to Lisbon with us here at the end of March, please try to come with us September 21st to 28th here in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. The other big advantage, too, very much like Lisbon, is for our American friends. Your American dollar goes so much farther.
Yes.
Ridiculously so much farther. I was just doing some research on this and saw that so $100 U.S., just get this thing, $100 U.S. is $133 Canadian. So you're getting $33 free to spend in Canada. Everything that you buy is 1/3 cheaper here, if you look at it that way. So you're Monty, that's a huge difference.
It really is.
Ridiculously huge difference. It makes it really hard for us poor Canadians to go visit you guys because conversely, everything is a third more expensive for the most part. But for you guys, yeah, the $1 American dollar is worth $1.33 Canadian. So your money goes a lot farther. The only downside is your money's going to have to go farther because it's going to be difficult to find hotels in the city of Vancouver at a reasonable price. We were looking at them earlier, and even the local Ramada, which I like Ramadas. They're not fancy hotels. They're always nice. They're always clean. Even in the middle of summer, not necessarily in late September. Middle of summer, a Ramada around here in downtown Vancouver can cost $200-300 a night, and that's all. I don't want people to spend that kind of money.
Oh, that's crazy.
Even in Canadian dollars, I don't want you to spend. Actually, what is $200? Hang on, what's 200? 200. You know what? It's not bad. 200 Canadians, 150 American.
That's not so bad.
That's not unreasonable.
I mean, it's a major city, so
that's my upper limit is $150 a night for a hotel.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to keep the hotel we choose below that. We still got lots of time to find a good deal. Hopefully, it's far enough after tourist season that the prices might start coming down. But that's what we're looking for. If you have any suggestions for hotels in Vancouver, and Dave, don't suggest Sutton Place. We can't afford it. Let me know. Send me an email to Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com. Again, you can find more details at startingpointphotography.com, or as always, send me an email, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about this trip. But it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a beautiful city, a beautiful time of year. The fall here is going to be nice. The temperatures are going to be mild. The weather is going to be generally pretty good. So we're going to have a really good time.
I can see that many people may look and think, oh, what about Whistler? Everybody's always making a big deal about Whistler. And I've been there many times, but I will say, just so everybody knows, that when you go there, all you do is spend copious amounts of money. It really is extremely expensive to do anything in Whistler.
There's not a lot to do photography-wise in Whistler in the fall. When the snow falls, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous, but there's no snow there. It's not that, in my opinion, not that photographic.
I mean, on the way there, on the Sea to Sky Highway, but you get to see another part of that when you're on the ferry.
Yeah.
So, just saying because people are going to go, oh, what about Whistler?
Whistler is certainly a place you can go on your off days, on your free time.
Yeah.
You can rent a car and drive to Whistler easily. It's 90 minutes from downtown Vancouver.
But it's really essentially a mall in the mountains. Just saying.
Unless you're skiing, and even skiing is very, very expensive in Whistler.
Crazy.
There's nothing in Whistler you can buy that you can't buy in Vancouver.
Very true. The Gastown will have all those funky touristy things that you might want to buy.
As beautiful as it is, I've never been to Whistler in the non-snow time, except for that one time that you and I took the motorcycle there.
Oh, I've been there many times in the summer.
I've never gone in the summertime because there wasn't anything to do outside of. If you're outdoorsy and want to go hiking.
Oh, yeah, my God, we would hike and
bike. What about the gondola? Now, this is before they put a lot of that stuff, summertime stuff in. What about the gondola?
Oh, I've done that.
Is that worth going to?
Oh, it's magnificent.
Yeah, I've never been on
in the summer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh. Okay. And not going up in the chairlift, you can, bears are wrestling underneath and cubs, and I mean it's pretty amazing, but it's very expensive.
Yeah, it's not cheap. So, anyway, if you want more information, send me an email to Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com or go to the website at startingpointphotography.com and you can get some more details there. Get email from our friend Scott Randall. Hopefully your back is feeling better by now. It seems you have had a few bouts with this back problem. I've suffered with similar back problems. To prevent this in the future, I highly recommend a few weeks of physical therapy. It has helped me tremendously. You should, however, learn the exercises they give you and get some of the equipment you can use at home and continue to do them. I don't know how much your healthcare system covers physical therapy, but even if you have to pay out of pocket for a few weeks, it's worth it to keep the problem from reoccurring. Regards, and get better soon, Scott. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. This wasn't any kind of serious chronic back problem. It was basically me doing a little too much, from basically doing no exercise to doing way too much exercise, and it was just a lower back strain, muscle spasmy type thing. I'm lucky, touch wood, I haven't had any kind of history of back pain, but I do notice it happens more, and it's very common, when I put on too much weight.
Of course.
It's really common when I get up over 240, 250. I'm at around 260 now. And that's just obvious. My knees hurt more. My back, I'm more likely to hurt my back. Because it's not just the weight. It's the fact that the reason why I got to the weight, because I didn't do anything. I didn't do any exercise. I wasn't doing anything. And so your muscles don't work as well. And so that certainly would have caused it.
That you're doing well. Mr. King is walking
Trying to, yeah.
and doing great.
The other thing is, we talked about this briefly on last week's show with Jim. I don't know how much we talked about it specifically. I'm really noticing and really surprised that this is Watch OS 5. And even now, in the 5th version of the OS, you still can't get very specific with the rings. For example, Wednesdays, I don't do anything but I'm right here on Wednesdays. I'm in front of this computer, and I just want to work on the show on Wednesdays. So I'm not going to hit my 700 calorie goal on Wednesdays, ever. Not going to happen. But on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, we are now getting out a whole lot more. We're walking. We're having a lot of fun. I don't know if I want to call it hiking, but we're getting out a lot more than we were in the past. So on the weekends, I hit my calorie goal easily. I hit my exercise goal without a problem. I hit my walking goal, my steps, not a problem. The problem with the Apple Watch is that it resets, because it resets itself every day, it doesn't allow you to I don't want to carry over my 1,000 calorie Sunday to Monday, but I'd much rather have my goals be weekly goals or monthly goals rather than every single day the exact same goal. You know, for some people, maybe a Monday is their work day, and they know they're not going to get much exercise on Monday. So let me dial it down to, say, 500 calories on Monday, but then dial it up on Saturday and Sunday to 1,000 calories. I know I'm going to be out and working really, really hard. This exact same calorie amount, Monty says, open the activity app on the watch, tap and hold on the rings. It'll let you change the goal for the day. Yes, it does do it for the day, but it means I have to change it every single day. I'd much rather have it be where on my calendar, on my phone, or on my desktop or on my phone, I can say, on Mondays, my goal is 600 calories. On Saturday, it's 1,200 calories. And not have to keep fiddling with it and forgetting and those kinds of things. Is the watch reminding you to periodically stand up? Yes, I have 2 apps for that. I've got the watch app for standing and another app for that. I'm using a app called Lose It to track calories and to track exercise. So it's just little things like that I'm surprised that after all this time, Apple has an instant, because it doesn't seem like it'd be that big of a deal to hook in either on the phone, the app on the phone, or even on my calendar app on my computer to say, hey, on these days, on this day, and this day, make my calorie goal be this high, and my exercise goal be this high. But on these days, and these days, make it higher or lower. That seems to me to be fairly obvious. I don't understand why Apple hasn't done it. The other thing is I'd like to have my Apple Watch beep at me at 8 a.m. every day to remind me to put it on. Because there's sometimes I just forget to put the damn thing on because I'm not used to wearing a watch. The only time I don't notice I'm wearing a watch is when I leave the house. And for some reason my brain goes, everything on your wrist, nothing on your wrist. So I'll never leave the house without the watch. But yeah, there are times when I'll get up and it'll be an hour and a half. And I'm not like I ran a marathon or anything else like that before I put the watch on, but still, you'd want it to have it on.
Well, you put it on before you go for your walk.
Before I go my walk, I'm trying to get outside for a walk around 7:30 and 7:45 in the morning and walk for 15, 20 minutes. And I'll try again in the afternoon, do another 15, 20 minute walk.
You got to up the ante at some point, though.
Once the weather gets a little bit better, I'll definitely do that. There was Tuesday, I think it was Monday. I went up Monday. Got all dressed up, went out Monday, and it was just freaking cold. It was like...
He came back real quick.
It was like huh? It was like 35 degrees outside. I walked for 10 minutes, went, screw this, I'm going back in the house. So as the weather gets better, I'm more likely to do it. The other thing I'm noticing, too, is that I'm able to do more. I've always had a problem with my knees since high school and college sports. My knees will hurt after a short period of time. And I noticed that it's walking on concrete that will make them hurt faster. So I tend to try to walk on the grass as much as I can. But over the last, I've been doing this for 2 weeks now, this walking thing. Even in the 2 weeks that I've been doing the regular walking, my knees don't hurt. Walking on concrete like they used to, which means either I'm getting used to it or my knees are getting stronger.
You're losing weight.
And then last Thursday, I walked 7 kilometers.
He did.
In one day.
Yes.
No,
it was 10.
It was 10 kilometers in a day, but 7 kilometers. I wanted to see if I could walk from the ferry. I went over the city. I wanted to see if I could walk from the ferry terminal all the way home. And it was one of those things where you look at your watch and the watch says 7 kilometers. You think, okay, I might be able to do 7 kilometers. And you get out, and then you realize 7 kilometers, it's up a hill. It's up the side. Oh, I forgot we live on the side of a mountain. Oh, crap.
We do.
That was hard. That wasn't any fun.
Yeah, you could walk the next day.
Yes.
You are not getting up and walking very oddly like a penguin through the house after you've exercised that you used to.
Much as I love penguins, I don't want to walk with a penguin.
He would look so funny.
And again, thanks very much to John Cordyback for sending me this.
Thank you, John.
Because before this, I wouldn't have had the incentive to do that walk. Because of the Apple Watch, I had the incentive. And because the Apple Watch, I'd had it before I did this walk, I had been in practice. So my feet, one of the problems that we always had for those of us who went to Macworld Expos was a lot of us are very sedentary. And then suddenly we'd go to San Francisco or New York and walk 15 kilometers in a day without having any, lead up to it. And we were all exhausted by the second or third day. We wanted to cut our feet off because they hurt so bad. You got to build into this stuff. You have to. It's like every other. When you want to run a marathon, you don't go out tomorrow and run a marathon.
No.
You have to build yourself up to it, and that's what happened here. Was I was able to build myself up, even though I hadn't walked 7 kilometers at any one point before, because I had walked 3, 4, 5 kilometers with us going hiking at Smuggler's Cove and other things like that. That I knew I could do it. It would be a little hard, but I knew I could do it. And then when I saw the street was like this, I was walking up, literally like bent over at the waist, walking up this hill very slowly. I'm thinking, this is going to hurt. I can do it. And then the next day, not being incapacitated.
You were not in the slightest.
You
had sore calf muscles.
I was a little stiff and sore in my calf muscles.
Yeah.
But before this, I would not have moved all day long.
You couldn't have. I remember when you first moved over here and we dragged him out. I mean, I'm sorry, I just have not used to someone not actually moving a lot at all. And then the next day after we'd taken you out, you laying there not being able to move. Yeah. I was quite shocked. I was like, oh my God, now what have I gotten myself into here? No. This guy can't move.
You had no idea how out of shape I was.
I had no idea how out of shape you were. So now the sky's the limit now for you.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very interesting. And I'm looking forward to the weather getting better because before I leave, I map out my route. And because it's rainy and cold here, I'm not going as far as I could go because you get a little chilled, you get a little wet. I'm walking by that. But now I know because I've walked 7 kilometers in a stretch. And every now and then, Melissa needs something at the store. Whereas before, I would jump in the car and drive. It's only 2 kilometers to the store. I would drive to the store. Now I set my workout walk, outdoor walk on the Apple Watch, and off I go. I'm happily walking to the store now without any issues.
No problem. It's wonderful.
And then
I'm very happy.
Filling up a backpack full of food and stuff, putting in my backpack, and now I've got 20, 30 pounds of food in my back, and walking back home again. Again, no problem.
No problem. So if he runs into a bear now, I think he's going to be able to run.
No. I'm not going in the woods where there might be a bear. What is wrong with you?
You can see a bear anywhere here.
What?
Anywhere. You get into running shape, you better.
What do you mean I can see a bear
and drop
anywhere?
the backpack. That's right. Monty says drop the backpack. That's a good idea. Just drop the backpack.
What do you mean I can see a bear anywhere?
You can see a bear anywhere. He could be on the street.
I just told you how much I like walking, and now you just told me not to walk.
The bear would run away from you.
Faster than I'm running away from him?
Yes.
We do have bears. We literally,
I'm
I've seen
scaring him, I
bears.
know.
There are bears.
There are bears right here.
There are bears right here. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, I've seen bears 10 feet outside this window
Yeah.
that I'm looking at, going through this stuff. We see deer all the time.
Everywhere, all the time.
There's a whole herd of freaking deer. There's 5 of them. We've been watching them grow up for the last year.
I know. We'll see their offspring.
Mac, man, I thought you saw a bear there recently. When did I see the bear?
It was
Sometime in the
while
summertime.
ago. Yeah.
Last summer.
Yeah, it's like, holy F.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Beep, beep. There's a bear in the yard.
Like, literally, I'm looking outside. Freaking bear! Like, deer, I'm okay with deer because they're not going to attack me. I've tried to feed the deer, as a matter of fact, because they're deer. But seeing a bear, that was scary. That was not any fun at all. I think it's it, folks. Hang on, let me just check my email.
Deer and turkeys.
What?
Macman says that he sees deer and turkeys fairly often.
Deer and turkeys? I'm not sure, but that, okay.
I haven't seen turkeys.
Do we have turkeys in Canada? Wild turkeys? I don't think we do.
We have pheasants.
No, it's not turkey. I know America.
Grouse.
No. Wild turkeys are much.
They're very
wild
American.
turkeys are, they're very American.
Yeah.
Maybe we'd have them in Ontario.
Yeah.
Another reason to hate Ontario.
Yeah.
Monty, if you're seeing deer regularly, there aren't many bears close by at the moment.
Yeah.
Is that true?
It's mostly the cougars that go for the deer, actually.
Yeah, I've definitely seen wild turkeys quite often riding a motorcycle in the south, but nothing like that up here in Canada. I don't know that we have them. Anyway, I want to say thanks very much to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com for joining us here each and every week. Thanks to you guys for being tuned into the show. I want to say thanks to everyone in the IRC chat room. I forgot. I'm sorry, Monty. Monty wanted to remind people about the IRC chat room, and I forgot again. I'll try to remember for next week.
We don't have any prizes.
Oh, we do have prizes.
Well,
we got to give them away now. Now that
come
you
on.
Now
Yeah.
that you said the P word.
Come on, let's do it.
God. Okay. We've got a copy of Lonely Planet Guides.
Oh.
Nice folks at lonelyplanet.com are giving us a guidebook. You don't have to get a guidebook from Portugal or for Vancouver if you don't want to, if you're going someplace else. The Lonely Planet Guides are always a great guide to read whenever you're going to travel other places. So let me go to the subscriber list. Okay, I'm averting my eyes, and you can say stop whenever you would like.
Stop.
I'm going to go out to... Oh, Maurice Kessler. Maurice.
Oh, how lovely.
He's not in the chat room anymore.
He was before?
He was before. Yeah, he's not anymore. Let me just hang on. Lonely Planet. Congratulations to you, Maurice.
That is great. Congratulations.
Why did that come up with David Knight? That's weird. Okay, sorry.
And okay.
Gotta make sure I get the name right. And then, as always, we want to say thanks very much to the nice folks at ZAG. They're a prize sponsor of Your Mac Life. They make a bunch of really great products, including my favorite battery case, the Mophie Juice Pack, which I'm going to show off here and have a review of in the next couple of weeks. It's a wonderful case. I've had cases for several of my iPhones, and all of them have been from Mophie. I had one Sly stole from me, as a matter of fact, because she liked it so much. So Mophie makes fantastic battery cases for the iPhone, all different kinds of iPhones. They also have screen protectors from Invisible Shield, power management solutions, mobile keyboards, social tech, and personal audio by iFrogs and Bravin. Technology moves fast, but life moves faster. At ZAG, they create products that keep up with you to make your life truly mobile. Remember, the ZAG contest is open only to those folks who are in Canada or the U.S. Because of the same kind of rules that we were talking about Apple has on them. So our apologies for that. But it's easy to enter the ZAG contest, or any contest we do. Just go to our website at yourmaclifeshow.com. Right there at the top, you'll see Friends of YML entry form. Stop playing with that.
One day, Mr. King will review Zap straps. I'm making Zapstrack chains. Sorry, it's a private joke.
It's funny you call them zapped straps.
What do you call them?
Zip straps?
Oh.
Zipper
Anyway.
straps? Anyway.
He's been here for a while.
I'm trying to do a show here and you're screwing around.
Oh, we're finished now.
No, I'm still trying to give stuff away.
I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Let's keep going. I'm sorry.
God damn it. Take
Disposable handcuffs. That's right. That's not what they're for. But that's a good idea.
Didn't you know that's how the cops use those things?
Well, they're not. That's not what he has them for. He has them for organizational strategy.
Moving on. Let's go. We're going to pick something from
Yes, Cinnamon.
Lost control. Completely lost control.
Oh, dear.
You can enter.
took a turn, yeah.
Stop. Take it seriously. Are you making faces at me?
No, I'm taking it seriously.
You can enter the contest. We're going to do this February 2 more times. So if you don't win tonight, you can always enter next week, next month, and also the month after that. If you're a non-subscriber to Your Mac Life, you have to send a new entry form each month. So just set a calendar announcement to remind you to send the email. Go to the website, yourmaclifeshow.com, re-enter the contest. If you're a subscriber to Your Mac Life, don't worry about it. Subscribers get preferential treatment. I actually will do this for you and enter your name into all of our contests just because you were kind enough to be a subscriber to Your Mac Life. It's easy to subscribe. Go to yourmaclifeshow.com. Left-hand side of the page there, you can donate any amount of money you'd like or subscribe on a monthly basis for $2, $5, $10, $15, whatever you feel. It comes out of your PayPal account or to your credit card and comes to us. And for every $2 above the initial $2 donation, you get an extra entry form as well, too. So if you donate for $10 a month, you get 6 entry forms. And so on and so forth. So we'd appreciate if you guys did that because that helps pay for bandwidth and domain names and other things that we need to do to keep the show running. So just go ahead and say stop whenever you'd like, and I
Stop.
will. This is going to go out to F&N Ventures, LLC. I have no idea who that is, but they have one. I'll send them an email saying
F&N
Ventures. Effin
Adventures. It sounds fun. Effin Adventures. Is that what they mean?
Have you been drinking?
No.
Because it sounds like you've been
Not
drinking.
at all. I had dinner and I made bread. I'm all good.
All right.
I had water.
Folks, that's it for tonight's show. Say thanks to everyone, Melissa.
Thanks, everyone.
As always, I've been Shawn King. The silly one's been
Melissa King.
You've been listening to Your Mac Life. See ya.
Bye.